I think we have to have a talk about your spending practices. You find a lot of...
Oh, I know.
How much have you spent on property the last 2 years, right?
Chris Diamond just walked away from Gold Rush. And it's a big deal. This isn't just a quiet exit. Something crazy happened in Season 15. Fans know Chris as the guy who could fix anything. Every busted machine, every disaster, he kept Parker Schnabel's gold mining operation humming like a champ. So what could make the most dependable guy in the game finally say, "I'm done"? This season, the pressure got insane. Parker set a wild goal, 10,000 ounces of gold. That's a massive amount, like borderline impossible. But Parker doesn't mess around with small dreams. To pull it off, he turned up the heat, running Big Red, the Rockosaurus, and every plan he could think of all at once. On paper, it looked brilliant. More machines, more gold, right? Not quite. Behind the scenes, the crew was stretched way too thin, and Chris felt it the hardest. He hit his limit. What went down off camera was way more intense than anyone expected. And trust me, this isn't the only jaw-dropping moment coming your way. Want the latest scoop? Hit that subscribe button before you watch the video. He's always been the guy behind the scenes, keeping the gold coming, quietly cleaning sluice boxes, making sure not a single fleck slips away, and doing it across 3 wash plants without a break. That's not just tough, it's brutal. He's not getting any younger, and this non-stop grind was wearing him down. He once said, "I hate it when we're forced to rush around, doing stuff we don't want to do just to yank ounces out of the ground." You can feel the frustration. He poured everything into this job, but even the strongest guys have a breaking point. If you've watched Gold Rush for a while, you know he's not one to whine. This season, though, he had no choice. Speak up or collapse. No amount of know-how could save him from drowning in work. The crew was spread thin, and Parker wasn't about to pull anyone off a machine to help in the gold room. That left him trapped. Then he suggested Tatiana Costa, a top operator. Not your typical gold handler. Parker had to decide. Pull her from the field, which Tyson wouldn't love, or risk losing him for good. In the end, Parker said yes. Tatiana started training to lend a hand. But was it too late? Even with help, the pressure didn't let up. Parker's gold obsession was still full throttle, and the team was cracking. This guy's been with Parker since Season 4. He went from building cabins for Todd Hoffman as a carpenter to becoming a gold mining MVP. When he joined Parker's crew, his gold room skills helped smash records year after year. But even legends have limits, and this season pushed his like never before. Now, fans are wondering, can Gold Rush even go on without him? He's been the glue through every mess, keeping things steady when everything else fell apart. But this time feels different. The exhaustion, the workload, the relentless pace, it's all piling up. For the first time, it's looking like he might really walk away for good. Gold mining is no joke. It's tough, gritty, and takes everything you've got. But at some point, you've got to wonder, is it worth it? Chris has spent years keeping the whole operation running like clockwork, but if it's costing him his health and sanity, maybe it's time to walk away. That's the big question hanging over this season. If he does leave, what happens to the crew? Chris has survived rough seasons before, but this one's hitting harder than ever. The gold room's a mess, and Parker's set a crazy goal: 10,000 ounces of gold. It's a monster challenge, and the pressure's crushing everyone, especially Chris. This veteran of the backbreaking grind might finally be done. Losing him would be huge. He's the guy who keeps everything from falling apart, the heart of the team. But gold has a funny way of pulling people back, and Chris isn't one to quit easily. He's been with the crew for over a decade, doing way more than just digging dirt. He makes sure every tiny speck of gold gets counted, smooths things over when the team's about to snap, and keeps the operation steady. He didn't even start as a miner, just a carpenter who stumbled into this wild world. But once he was in, he crushed it, becoming one of the toughest workers out there. Now, he's a rock in this chaotic gold-chasing machine. His big job, the gold room, where dirt turns into cash. It's tricky work. One slip and money's gone. Chris has it down to a science, making sure nothing gets wasted. Without him, their gold totals wouldn't be half as impressive. In a game where every ounce counts, he's the guy making it happen. But he's more than just gold and numbers. Chris is the glue. "Hey Mitch, how's it going?" "Not bad. Good to see you, buddy." He's chill, funny, and keeps the crew from losing it. Long hours, brutal weather, machines breaking down, mining's a war, and tempers flare. Chris is the one everyone leans on when it gets heavy. He's not just a morale booster, though. He's a decision maker, trusted to fix gear, handle drama, or figure out the best way to process gold. He's the calm in the storm. Then came the real test. Running 3 wash plants at once to hit that insane 10,000-ounce goal. It was nuts, and Chris took the brunt of it. He had to keep the sluice boxes clean, the gold safe, and nothing lost in the chaos. It pushed him too far, and for once, quitting didn't sound crazy. He even said, "That 10,000-ounce goal, it's slipping. We could do it, but our costs would shoot up 50%. You can hear the doubt. Is it worth it? For the first time, it looks like he might actually walk. They had to bring in extra help just to keep things from collapsing. Without Chris, that big 10,000-ounce goal? Forget it. It wasn't happening. Chris's mark on Gold Rush is huge. He started as a total newbie, not knowing a thing about mining, and turned into one of the most trusted guys in the game. His grit, loyalty, and knack for holding the crew together have made him a fan favorite. If Parker's the face of the operation, Chris is the backbone, making sure everything actually runs. Without him, the whole thing would look totally different, and everyone knows it. But here's the million-dollar question. After years of non-stop work, insane pressure, and chasing record-breaking hauls, is Chris finally ready to hang it up? Even the toughest guys can only take so much. If he walks, the team's in trouble, scrambling to fill a giant hole. If he stays, it's another season of pure exhaustion. Either way, big changes are coming. Is Gold Rush about to lose one of its all-time legends? Or will Chris tough it out for one more shot at glory? One thing's clear. Gold mining's never been this wild. Now let's talk Parker. He's never been one for the easy path. His story didn't kick off with instant wins. It started with a stubborn kid who wouldn't quit. Born in late July in the mid-90s in tiny Haines, Alaska, Parker grew up around dirt, big machines, and the endless hunt for gold. His grandpa, John Schnabel, ran the Big Nugget mine. So while other kids played with toy trucks, Parker watched the real deal. Barely old enough to tie his shoes, he was already learning to handle heavy equipment most grown-ups couldn't touch. By his teens, he was balancing school and mining like it was no big deal. Sure, he played basketball in high school, but his heart, it was always in the mine. College crossed his mind, maybe geology or mining studies, but classrooms couldn't compete. Instead, he dumped his savings into his own mining gig. At just 16, he took over the Big Nugget mine. Picture it, a teenager bossing around guys twice his age. Crazy, right? But Parker wasn't just barking orders. He knew his stuff. Mining's no picnic. It's a grind, a gamble, a fight against the wild. He had the guts, the smarts, and the drive to make it work. Then came the big moment. Gold Rush hit TV in the early 2000s and 10s, showing families risking everything for gold. Parker and his crew jumped in, and viewers couldn't get enough of this teen miner beating the odds. Being on the show wasn't enough, though. In his late teens, he made a move that shocked everyone. He left the family mine, headed to the Yukon, and bet it all on his own operation. It was a huge risk, but playing it safe? That's never been Parker's style. He rented land, bought gear, and got to work. And it paid off big time. In his first season at Solo, he yanked over 1,000 ounces of gold out of the ground. That's not luck. That's guts and grit. Every year, his operation grew bigger, bolder, and better. His gold hauls stacked up, showing he wasn't just some kid coasting on his grandpa's name. He was legit. His story's not just about mining, it's about proving age doesn't matter if you've got the skills and hustle. He didn't just hang in there, he crushed it. Gold Rush was just the start. His success sparked Parker's trail, where he took things global, chasing historic gold routes from Canada's icy Klondike to the jungles of Papua New Guinea. He didn't run from tough spots, he hunted them down. But it wasn't all shiny wins. Life threw curveballs, especially off the job. He dated Ashley Yule, an Aussie vet who popped up on the show, but the non-stop mining grind and TV spotlight killed the romance. He's admitted he's lousy at juggling love and work. Mining always wins. Even now, in his 30s, he's all in, living and breathing gold. Fame hasn't slowed him down. It's fired him up. But how long can he keep this up? Mining's brutal, risky, unpredictable, and full of gut punches. He's made millions, but lost plenty too. Will he ever swap the hard hat for an easier life? Step away from the cameras and just chase gold quietly? Or is he too hooked to quit? For now, he's still a titan in gold mining. Rich seasons or rough ones, he's not done. But what happens when the gold dries up? That's the story brewing. Mining's a beast. One wrong move can tank everything. The smart ones adapt and push through, and they're the ones who come out on top. Take Gold Rush numbers. It's not just digging up shiny stuff for quick cash. The show's an adventure, sure, but the real deal is way harsher. Miners bet it all. Money, time, their sanity, for a handful of nuggets. Some hit the jackpot, some flop hard, and others barely scrape by. Look at Season 3. Todd Hoffman's crew finally had a solid year, pulling 800-plus ounces, over $1 million. Not too shabby. But Parker? The young gun was already stealing the show. While Hoffman cheered, Parker mined nearly 200 ounces like it was nothing. Dakota Fred got 160-plus, but he couldn't touch the kid. Then Season 4 hit, and Parker went wild. Leasing Scribner Creek, he hauled in 800-plus ounces. Teaming up with Rick Ness, they smashed past 1,000 ounces, leaving Hoffman in the dust and making him look like a rookie. By now, it was obvious who was running the Gold Rush show. Hoffman was just scrambling to keep up. Season 5 rolled in, and the numbers made everyone else look like amateurs. The top miner hauled in over 2,500 ounces of gold, nearly $3 million. Hoffman's crew, still fighting to matter, pulled 1,300-plus ounces, pocketing over $1.5 million. Decent, sure, but next to the leader, it was like a tricycle racing a sports car. Season 6 turned up the heat. Tony Beats, the tough old-timer, jumped in with his family and an ancient dredge, snagging 700-plus ounces. But the top dog? Unstoppable. 3,300-plus ounces, worth almost $3.5 million. Hoffman finally had a solid year with just over 3,000 ounces, but he was still eating dust. "No gold here, just wasting time," they grumbled. The ground was tricky, but the leader didn't flinch. Season 7? Next level. The team mined 4,300-plus ounces, over $5 million. Tony's dredge crew hit 2,000-plus ounces, but the gap widened. One guy was setting the pace, no question. Season 8 was pure domination. 6,200-plus ounces, a massive $7.5 million haul. Tony stayed steady with 3,600-plus ounces, banking $4 million-plus. It was clear who was outsmarting and outworking the pack. Then Season 9 set the bar sky high, a 7,000-ounce goal at Scribner Creek. They didn't just hit it, they smashed it with 7,400-plus ounces, worth nearly $9 million. Rick Ness, trying to step up on his own, barely crossed 1,000 ounces. Tony aimed for 6,000, but landed at 4,400. Another win for the champ. Another tough break for the rest. Season 10 showed pure brains. The total dipped 200 ounces from last time. But smarter moves and higher gold prices meant more cash anyway. The leader wasn't just digging, he was winning the game. By the end of Season 10, over $10 million in gold was in the bank. Rick Ness, though, had a rough go after moving to Duncan Creek, barely breaking even. Tony Beats shifted his setup to Paradise Hill and still pulled over 2,200 ounces. The competition was alive, but one guy was clearly outsmarting everyone else. Jump to Season 14. The goal was 5,000 ounces. Did they hit it? Nope. They crushed it with 7,300-plus ounces, worth nearly $15 million. Tony aimed for 6,000 but hit setbacks, landing at 3,000-plus. Rick, back after a break, scored 1,100-plus ounces, over $2 million. The numbers don't lie. One miner's in a class of his own. "It's tough finding folks who can get to the Klondike," he said. "Too many borders to cross." That's Gold Rush for you. It's not just digging and dreaming. It's strategy, grit, and knowing when to roll the dice. Some, like Hoffman, took forever to catch on. Bad weather, breakdowns, and rotten luck crushed plenty of seasons, but the sharp ones always rose above. The wins? No fluke. It's about hunting smarter ways to mine, cutting royalty costs, grabbing the right gear, even jetting to Australia to steal tricks from other pros. That's why the victories keep stacking up. No fear of shaking things up. Sure, Gold Rush pumps up the drama, but it also shows how cutthroat this game is. One lousy season can sink you. One dumb call can cost years. And one big strike can flip the script. Parker Schnabel cracked the code, and as long as he stays sharp, the gold keeps flowing. Every season, fans tune in. Will records fall? Will Tony finally close the gap? Will a new star emerge? The gold's still out there, but only the toughest and cleverest will grab it. So, what about Chris Diamond? Did the crazy pressure push him out? Or is there more to his jaw-dropping exit? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest. Odori 2